This is the show that gives you a daily dose of happy, uplifting, feel-good stories from around the world. Welcome to another episode of Wonderlous News. I'm Hoyt Christopher. Let's get right to it. All right, our first segment is the shelter decided to adopt the goat and the dog together due to their close bond. Okay, this is a trip. So workers at Wake County Animal Hospital were scratching their heads when a dog named Felix and a goat named Cinnamon showed up on their doorstep. So they were dropped off by animal control, who had taken them from a house whose owner had been hospitalized, and no one else could look after them. So they brought the goat and the dog over. So at first, the shelter tried, or the animal hospital tried to separate them. And when they did, Cinnamon, the goat, was very, very upset. She was bleeding and calling out to the dog like crazy. Separation anxiety to the extreme. She was so stressed and frantic that we realized, they said, that we needed to keep this pair together, the dog and the goat, right? So Cinnamon and Felix. So it worked out. They honestly, I think what happened was the owner who was not doing well, and they had to take the dog and the goat from, if I remember correctly, the story went in a little more detail, and I think they actually ended up getting someone to adopt the goat and the dog together because the owner was just not well enough to keep the two of them still. But have you ever had goats? Because I've had goats. I had two goats, and they are a trip. They were really friendly. They were raised by friends of ours, my wife's and ours, and really cool, really friendly. But they bleat, they make those sounds. These goats, or this goat specifically, really had an attachment to this dog. Look, I think they did the right thing by keeping Felix and Cinnamon together and eventually getting them, together to be with someone else, right? So they're not separated. That goat, Cinnamon, was just crazy. I mean, they love each other. The goat and the dog love each other. Let's just end it with that. Okay, good story. Next story. Hero pilot helps novice aviator in emergency landing after the tire falls off. So this is a trip. So a young pilot is thanking her lucky stars that there was someone there to help her handle or help her guide her to an emergency landing after she lost one of the wheels on her landing gear. So the tower patched Yates through to the young pilot. Yates is a pilot who helped this young pilot, whose name was Taylor Hash. Hash was only on her third ever solo flight. So she's brand new. Total anxiety in her voice, they said. She's a student pilot. She was up there flying. Thankfully, though, and this happened in Michigan, so thankfully, at the time of the incident, she had 57 total flight hours, so not a lot. Hash would have to land without a front tire. So Yates, who's an experienced pilot that helped guide her down, told her to keep circling the field until she felt ready to try and land the plane. And then once she did, she went down and she landed, and then she just cried. She was she said the waterworks came out, she said, and she was so happy that this pilot saved her. What a great story. That's got to be really freaky to realize that you're missing that front wheel. And I don't know, it doesn't sound like there was any damage to the plane. Obviously, the pilot, she wasn't injured, Taylor Hash. But Yates helped get her down, and she's safe. My grandfather was a pilot, and he had a couple planes. He actually crashed twice, and then he was done. He sold both of his Cessnas, but lived, of course, to tell about it and talk about it. I want to definitely get my pilot's license. Hopefully, when I do, if I ever come into a situation like that, there's a person like Yates there to help guide me down. Great story. So let's move on to the Wonderlous moment of the day. That's right, brought to us by Rise by Shaman Angelina. She has an amazing Etsy store with so many unique gifts, necklaces, bracelets, earrings, She's adding a lot of different products. I would check her stuff out. Go to the description of the show, and then the link to her store is right there. But for now, as we're doing now on the show, it's a surprise. So so take a moment. This is the moment of the day. So take a moment to sort of breathe, relax. If you're not driving or flying, then go ahead and close your eyes. But take a moment and then open them up and listen to the music and watch the visuals of this wonderless moment of the day. It's always so much fun to get those cool pictures and music together that Rise does for us. So thank you again, Rise by Shaman Angelina. What a great moment of the day. All right, so next segment, Georgia daycare teacher's viral dance to the ABC song Get Toddlers Hyped Up and Happy. All right, so let me explain that. So this daycare teacher does this whole thing with his class of students to the ABC song, the alphabet song, and he just gets up and he dances and he has so much fun. And the other teachers noticed. They ended up recording him doing the dance, and they posted on social media, and it became this huge thing. So Brian McCone, I think that's how you say, he's an after-school program director at Kids Are Kids in Mapleton, Georgia. He told the Fox News program that he always tries to make the day special for the kids, right? So in the video, McCone appears to be filled with enthusiasm as he encourages the kids to dance around and do the ABC song. I mean, 17 million views, it looks like, on Instagram. So a lot of views, and really cool. One of the, someone said she wishes that the camera was on him every day and his students, because he has so much fun. He just comes in there with lots of energy and enthusiasm, and the kids love it. In fact, I think they're going to make him Teacher of the Year there at that program. So really cool that these kids get to have that enthusiasm and joy from one of their teachers and someone that's there to watch over them. I think we all need teachers like that. My kids have some teachers that are very enthusiastic and they have a lot of energy, and they probably do a lot of things like this. But I'm sure it's not the case for everyone. So hopefully, if not now, sooner than later, your kids get a teacher like Brian McCone. I hope that's his name. All right, so let's go on to our Wonderlous thought, and let's actually go right into having fun at daycare. Okay. So I don't know if your kids ever got a chance to go to daycare or if you went to daycare. Personally, I did not go to daycare when I was growing up. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so daycare was with mom, right? And then when I went on to school, and then after school, my mom picked me up, or I came home on the bus or whatever. But my kids, when my wife and I were both working at the time, they did a lot of daycare after school programs. So instead of picking them up at 2:30 or 2:20 or whatever it is, they'd go next door to like a YMCA or a Boys and Girls Club or a program at the school. And they would, have a snack, and they play in the playground. They do some drawing, and they basically just kind of keep them active while you're still working until you can pick them up around 5 or so. But it's starting to become a little bit more needed in the United States, at least, for a lot of families who work and have kids in school that need to have these after school programs. And I think these, like the teacher that we talked about in the segment above, is really important to see that we need more teachers like that. We need more programs like this. I find that my kids, I think, do better having a full day of exercise, outdoor, indoor stimulation, education than they do when they come home and they do some things, at home. I mean, they get home at like the older kids, they get home at like 3 o'clock. It's like 3 o'clock. They get back from the bus at 3 o'clock. So it's almost a full day. I mean, they're on the bus. They get on the bus at 7:20 and they get dropped off at like 2:50. So just call it 3 o'clock. But that's a pretty long day at school, and that's all school. And then the bus ride is, half hour there, half hour back. But I'd say daycare is, I think, becoming more and more needed And I think it's a great place for my kids and hopefully yours if you have a positive experience with yours in daycare or after school programs where they're actually learning a little bit more before they come home, before they, have a snack or I guess not even a snack, just, get on their iPad. My kids love the iPad or watch TV. I mean, kids need to be out and active, and we have so many different distractions now, technology that, can be used at home without moving around. I think having that movement is really important. So right on to daycares. I support it. All right, look, if you have a fun, happy, positive, feel-good story that you want to share with us here on the show, please send it to me, wonderlessnews@gmail.com. I'd love to hear it, talk about it. I'll, plug you or I'll keep you anonymous, whatever you want to do. But look, thanks again for watching and listening. Remember, whatever platform or delivery of the show that you're on, meaning like a podcast, you're just listening or you're watching or you're on the YouTube channel, subscribe or follow or like or do all three, depending on how you get Wonderless News. We appreciate it and we support you, support us. Look, I'm Hoyt Christopher. Thanks for watching Wonderless News. I'll see you tomorrow.